4 years after his last record, Justice, Justin Bieber has dropped Swag, his seventh proper studio record, and a surprise album. Swag marks a return to R&B for Bieber. It is 21 tracks of chaos and some interesting features. In a summer that has been extremely boring charts-wise, I couldn't help but give this a spin, and I was actually kind of shocked. A quick aside, there were not much visuals for this album release, so if you see a black screen with Swag on it for most of this video, that's why. You know the drill. I'm going to talk about this record, its themes, and then do a track-by-track review before giving it a final score. Let's go. So how did we get here? Justin Bieber's last record, Justice, was a smash hit. It had 4 top 10 singles, as well as the chart topper Peaches. It debuted at the top of the charts, and it got relatively decent reviews despite a few questionable lyrical and conceptual choices. It was nominated for 8 Grammys, and it helped him recover from the mixed reception of Changes. As for Justin as a human being himself, a lot happened. He became a father, he canceled a tour due to his mental health, he fought the paparazzi, viral messy social media rants, marriage drama, as well as a public breakup with former manager and father figure Scooter Braun. Bieber would do a hiatus for a few years. Apparently Ed Sheeran had worked on a version of the album, but he ended up scrapping it. We got a few teasers on social media, and then the album was teased through a billboard announcing it around the world alongside the track list, and then the album just dropped on midnight last Thursday to solid reviews, which actually started to pique my interest. So where do I stand on this album? I've had a love-hate relationship with Bieber's music. His earlier teeny bopper stuff never worked for me, but once he got into dance pop on Believe in 2012, I started to pay a bit more attention. Boyfriend and Beauty and the Beat started to give him a more adult image. Journals was a compilation of random drops that he did back in 2013, and it gave us his first passion project. But you had to be there for Purpose. I thought it was one of the best pop rebrands of the 2010s. It made him this undeniable pop star that appealed to a wider audience. The hits on that record are still played on the radio and playlists. And the deeper cuts on it showed an artistic potential that I just never felt was tapped into on those follow-ups, which were misses for me, and Swag kind of touches on that potential. It's an overall shockingly pleasant listen. The production on this really saves it and makes it a cohesive record. That is thanks to Carter Lang's contribution. Lang was one of the architects on SZA's Brilliant Control and SOS. Bieber was on the Snooze remix, and I feel like that was the first kind of teaser for this. Other collaborators include Dylan Wiggins and Eddie Benjamin. Dijon co-produces and even features on the track. One of my highlights, Daisies, was co-written and produced by McGee. You can really feel his influence throughout this entire album, honestly. Same with Dijon. These are good influences that allow him to kind of flourish. The collaborations on this are insane. We have 2 Chainz as a background vocalist, Gunna, some interludes with Drewski, a random but heartfelt guest appearance from Lil B. Cash Cobain has a verse, as well as Sexy Red, which took me out the first time I listened to Sweet Spot. All of these collaborations kind of add to the songs, infusing some dimensions to the album. I was pleasantly surprised by how soulful and hooky a few of the tracks on this album were. Tracks like the opener, All I Can Take, Daisies, Devotion, and Yukon feel like tracks that I might actually revisit and keep. A while back ago, Justin Bieber complained about a record of his being flagged by the Academy as pop and not R&B, and I feel like this one is an actual through and through R&B record. There's this unpolished energy to it that feels very 90s. A friend of mine compared it to Michael Jackson's Human Nature, and I was kind of shocked that that was a good comp. People expecting him to return to pop properly will not be happy with this, but it is pleasant, easy listening. It's lazy Sunday vibes that's not too involving. On a lyrical standpoint, it's not going to blow your mind, but going to a Bieber record for lyrics is like going to a Marvel movie expecting a Best Original Screenplay Oscar. Bieber's put out this genuine, funky, chill record that feels less commercial project and more like a random music drop for the hell of it. I think this is actually his best album since Purpose. My one major critical note is that I would have liked this to be trimmed up a bit more, but I do feel like it being messy and cluttered was the intention. And now we are at the track by track. All I Can Take sets up the album pretty well. There's almost like a Phil Collins vibe to it from the instrumentals to the vocal delivery. The song is constructed like a diary entry, stream of consciousness thing, where he brings up his sensitivity and his resistance to change. Verse 2 is interesting because it takes a more sensual, romantic undertone against the first half of the song. It's not groundbreaking, but it's a good opener. Daisies is the instant hit on this record. It opens with an instrumental that really lets you relish in the vibes. It has the soft 90s rock energy that McGee really really just lends this nostalgic, free feeling to it. The songwriting is probably one of the more solid efforts on this. It's about picking petals off a daisy and questioning whether or not someone really likes you or not. It feels like a modern take on What Do You Mean almost. It is the most relatable track on this record. I really did like the bridge on it. It was simple, but it really does show off how his voice blends into instrumentals so well. Yukon is one of the more adventurous tracks. Bieber pitch shifts his vocals, almost sounding like SZA at first. I wanted to check if she was actually on this track. 2 Chainz does appear in the post-chorus and later in the song. This track continues the diaristic writing. There's some funny lines like I pull up like Jimmy Neutron. It's a very heavy on repetition track about what would he do if he didn't love his someone. It's something that's very apparent is tied to his identity, that he loves someone, and it's one of the revelations that drives this album's themes. Go Baby is a more conventional chorus-heavy track. It's an ode to his wife, Haley. iPhone case, lip gloss on it. This one's very conventional. It's a love anthem. It invokes flowers yet again. The pre-chorus and the chorus itself are the highlights. Very catchy, very smooth. My only complaint is that I wish there was a switch-up or a bridge. Things You Do is a short track. It's almost like a quick voice note, unfinished demo, rough feel. Butterflies is one of the more interesting tracks because it opens with the sampling of his crash out in Palm Springs 10 years ago where he was yelling at paparazzis, all they want is money. This track is actually one of the more thematically strong tracks. It focuses on himself, anxieties, both good and bad, that he faces in his life. Butterflies from good things like love and bad things like scrutiny from the press. I think the production really does elevate that repetitive chorus into something more moving. The Way It Is brings us back to R&B. He gets an assist from Gunna, who comes in to punctuate the chorus and even provide a verse that really complements Justin's well. He name drops the material things that he can get for his lover in contrast to Justin's more grounded verse. Again, like when Justin pitch shifts, I thought if SZA was on this track, I feel like if SZA had a feature on this album somewhere, it would be a smash. First Place is a well-structured track. It kind of reminds me of 90s MJ sonically. There's a clear verse, pre-chorus, chorus, post-chorus structure. The lyrics are very abstract. It's about the joy of being with someone who's kind of first place in his mind. And kind of celebrating that like it's their birthday. It's very bouncy and joyful. Soulful is the first of 3 Drewski interludes that I would have cut, where Drewski kind of just compliments his last song, calling him soulful, even asking Justin if he's sure he's not black. Walking Away is a highlight for me. It's a great mix of soft rock and R&B vibes that he's got going on. It's cute. It's about the devotion to his wife and how he's not going to walk away. The chorus is clean cut, arena ready. The post-chorus adds some resolution to the song, and each verse has this breathy delivery that really carries with the synths. The production on this one is really good. The bridge stripping back before it kicks back in. I feel like this one could be a radio hit. Glory Voice Memo is a gospel-y Motown-inspired bit about his spirituality. It's a running motif in his career. Devotion with Dijon is a slow jam, sleepy quality to it. Around this point of the album just started to feel repetitive to me. It's very much not an active listen. It's something that you just play in the background when you're having a romantic dinner. Justin recalls the small things that he loves about his wife, like watching movies and cuddling, her lips, fingernails. Dijon's verses were great, though. I really love his ad-libs. Dad's Love was when I kind of started to lose it a bit because the little B calling for less hatred and more unity and love at the beginning was just an odd but fun moment. It's a track about becoming a father and leaving behind negativity. Someone pointed out that the drum pattern in this actually comes from a home video of him when he was a toddler. So it's a cute little full circle moment because he just recently became a dad. Therapy Session with Drewski is where he talks about the weight of fame. It's kind of a skip. Sweet Spot is a track that broke me. It starts off as a slow, sensual jam, and then it has this very catchy, corny, sexual chorus before going into Sexy Red's verse. Sexy Red's verses tend to be hit or miss. There are some great one-liners in there, and then there's a dick in the ass, make my heart stop line, which just makes you pause the song and go, what was that? Standing on Business dissects Bieber's most recent paparazzi standoff, where he did say standing on business. It's a cross-section before Drewski offers him a smoke. 405 is another lo-fi R&B track that's less about lyrics and more about vibes. It's pleasant background noise, so the switch up on the chorus and the bridge will keep you on your toes. The title track Swag with Cash Cobain is just kind of a mess. It's borderline nonsensical. It's about flexing. Swag feels more like onomatopoeia than anything else. Just something that they're randomly yelling. It's one of the weaker tracks. Zuma House, I wish had been the vibe of a project or a record. It's a gorgeous little interlude, an acoustic moment about forgiveness. Too Long is the last track with just Justin's vocals. It's another romantic, sensual track about longing for a partner emotionally and physically. It's cheeky innuendo, but it kind of felt like a retread of Sweet Spot. And Forgiveness closes out the album on a more religious vibe. It's sung by Marvin Winans, who is a pastor and a gospel singer. This is like a brief excerpt of Lord, I Lift Your Name on High, which closes out this album on themes for paying off sinful debts. Overall, I was kind of caught off guard by how consistent this album was. The album title just sounded so stupid to me, but then the album itself is an interesting look into Bieber's humanity and psyche in spite of a few tonally odd choices like those Drewski interludes that kind of felt like comedy sketches. The biggest sin that this album commits is being a little bit too repetitive. I wish that had been trimmed into a stronger project, but I'm giving it a 6.1 out of 10. If you like Bieber already, I think it'll work really well for you. If you're not a fan, it might surprise you a little or just fall flat. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning into this random and short review for Swag by Justin Bieber. I am begging other people to drop surprise albums, but it looks like that's going to be in the fall. Quick shout out to my members. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. A shout out to my subscribers. I'm currently taking a little bit of a more relaxed cadence on this channel until pop properly returns, though expect a few more videos from me this month, and I hope to see you next video.